sort of to the point of like the brand and the person element to it. I do think that I don't know if it's like micro-influencing or I don't know if it's getting your customers more involved, but people just really want to buy from other people. People really don't want to have to go through all the hoops anymore.
This episode is brought to you by Warmly. Warmly is an AI-powered GTM assistant that helps your outbound team stop wasting time and start targeting the right people at the right time. Here's the play. Your SDRs open LinkedIn and instead of cold scrolling, they get real-time signals like who is researching solutions like yours, who just switched jobs, or who recently viewed your site. No CRM updates, no lead lists, just useful context surfaced where they already work. If you're doing outbound in 2025 and not using Warmly, you are behind. Try it for free at www.warmly.ai. In this episode of the GTM Engineering Podcast, I talked to Natalie Marcotullio, Head of Growth and Product Marketing at Navatic. Natalie unpacked one of the hardest shifts GTM teams are facing, balancing clear, focused messaging with the pressure to consolidate products and do it all. As buyers demand fewer tools, product marketers are stuck trying to tell a unified story across personas, industries, and use cases without losing clarity or differentiation. Natalie's approach: personalized demo experiences that feel one-to-one even when built for scale. We also got into the rise of demo centers, some with 80+ use case specific demos and why they are outperforming generic product overviews. Her recent experiment proved that prompting visitors to self-select their persona led to a 25% uplift in click-through rate, beating broad demos by a wide margin. From her take on AI hype and hacky growth tactics to why marketers should not abandon creative brand work just to keep up with technical trends, this conversation covered what's really happening behind the scenes in modern GTM. Here's my conversation with Natalie. Natalie, welcome.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
So as I was sharing with you before we start with the recording, the structure for these episodes is we discuss a problem, we discuss a trend, and we also discuss a growth experiment or a tactic. And so I will start with the problem. And so the first question, we can start the conversation there, is can you share a problem you see most GTMs facing, and what might be the solution, which may not be obvious to these teams?
Yeah, I think this ties into the experiment I have in mind, but a problem I'm thinking about right now is I was just at a conference yesterday and they were talking about how the consolidation play is really big. Like a lot of teams are cutting down budgets or want to consolidate tooling. Obviously, everyone's using ChatGPT for like everything right now. So it's very popular to try to do as much as possible. But I feel like that goes against so many product marketing best practices or startup best practices of have one very clear message, have a limited audience, try to, be the best thing for that audience. So I think one thing that I'm seeing a lot of go-to-market teams struggle with is like, how do I present my product if I have multiple product lines, if I have multiple personas I'm going after now, especially in a consolidation play? Like, how do I still keep my messaging clear and differentiate? But if the differentiator is kind of like, we do everything.
Yeah, and I think especially if you add the AI layer on top of that, or on top of many companies, it's easy to be confused and like assume that you are doing everything for everyone, right? Which is not like the place you want to be positioning wise. How do you juggle that with Novatic?
Yeah, I think exactly to your point of like, I think AI is just kind of hyping this up too, where everyone wants to like, oh, AI can do everything. One thing we're just thinking about is like, how can we create persona specific experiences, or even like in our outbound, we're trying to create very hyper messaging based on like a very specific persona or very specific niche industry. Like, how can we find still that relevant messaging and make it seem a little more like one to one, but do that at scale? So we are targeting a lot of different people, but it feels still like, hey, this messaging is relevant to me.
In terms of the point you made about the consolidation, so would you say then that company, like I'm trying to think of products, and like for example for the project management category, ClickUp comes to mind. Would you say that the products that can actually help other companies like consolidate and like have one app to replace them all, with ClickUp's main, I guess, vehicle for going to market. Do you think that these companies help, or not necessarily? Because when you try to do all these different things, it's easy to lose focus, and maybe the product then is not as high quality.
I think it is a little bit of a double-edged sword. I think it's just kind of what buyers are asking for right now. Like some examples that we talked about yesterday at the conference was like Chili Piper, how they kind of rebranded into an all-in-one solution. And I think because there are so many tooling now, there's so much bloat, people are trying to be more efficient with their spending. Even if you are sacrificing a little bit of like the quality of each of those tools, buyers are preferring, I just want this in one place. And especially if you do think about like any of the integrations with any of your AI systems, you'd almost rather have your data in one tool that you could share with it or use versus having your data in a bunch of different systems.
Makes sense. Do you think this is kind of to satisfy my personal interest, but do you think that the same applies to service providers and vendors? Like, do you see companies trying to consolidate there too, or no?
That's interesting. I actually don't as much. I think it's a really exciting time, at least I see, for service providers and freelancers because as a marketer, it's like I can find someone who I never would have been able to hire full time, but I know they're one of the best people in their industry for X specific thing. Because I think marketers, like marketing the role I see consolidation for, I'm seeing a lot more marketers being tasked with doing way more than ever. But then I'm then looking for individual freelancers who I know are experts at certain things that maybe I don't have the skill set for as much. So I'm almost seeing the reverse for service providers.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a great time for service providers, which is also why I started another company. Because I feel that on many different levels, that's not just for marketing but and growth, but on many different levels, companies are somewhat like there is a fog and or kind of like a cloud out there, and like people need more clarity, right? And especially for marketing, where you see these discussions like every marketing channel like sucks right now and whatnot. Um, I think it's great if you have the answer to you know the people's questions, even though in many cases I think they don't know what the right questions are. Still, I think that companies, agencies, or freelancers or whatever can win big in this environment just because things are so you know, bloated and as you mentioned, or especially for marketing, eh, you know, I don't know. Many marketing channels are kind of weird right now. I don't know if you have the same feeling, but that's how I see it.
I feel like we're really back to like a growth hacky type marketing in some ways. It's either brand, like I'm seeing two ends of the spectrum, either brands and everyone's doing events right now. I definitely feeling a little fatigued from all the events. Um, and like hyper focus on like we're just gonna stand out and be everywhere. Or I'm seeing very growth hacky tactics like, how can I be posting on a bunch of different Reddit threads because that's good for like AI SEO, or how can I have a million different pages that only like the bots can read, like, it's a weird mix I'm seeing right now in marketing where it feels like one or the other, like we're either going all in brand or all in on very hacky tactics.
Yeah, I guess resorting or trying to find a resort just in hacks right now, I don't think that's the right answer. Having said that, I can see, like um, them fit in the biggest picture of you need some things that some different you need to put different fires here and there, right? To start building momentum. But that shouldn't be the strategy. It should be part of it, but it shouldn't be all we do is just try to put these small fires and, that's all we are looking for.
I think that's partly because so many marketers are being tasked with doing so many things. They almost like don't have the time to maybe slow down and be strategic, or they don't have maybe the experience as much of like building out a strategic marketing plan.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, let me do all these things because I'm tasked with doing everything. It's just like a little more of the like checklist, like let me just get a bunch of things done.
Yeah. That may also, because you also have the efficiency promise, by AI. And so maybe people feel that, yeah, I mean, we should be like 10x or whatever X more efficient, right? So we should be doing all these different things. Should you? You know?
I don't think so, but I think that's 100% spot on too. Like the kind of hacky tactics I'm seeing are very much things that AI can help expand. And I'm not saying like developing a Reddit strategy, I'm not saying is necessarily bad or hacky. Like you can do it in a way that's thoughtful, but I think people are just thinking about pure volume over like what's really the end goal or strategy or strategic narrative positioning we're trying to play. I'm definitely not a fan that you should do everything, especially early days. I'm a pretty big fan of like do a few channels really well. That being said, I don't know, the past few months, it's been harder to really be strategic around that because it does feel like you have to be everywhere to stand out because there's just, like, so much competition.
You know what? I think unfortunately the reasons are way more simple and like even superficial than we may think, right? Because we may think that it's volume, and in many cases that's true. But I think that, and I see that with like certain kind of themes that people talk about online on LinkedIn, for example. I built 42 agents that replace, a 16 person team, and like, I don't need marketing anymore and whatnot. And I really feel that it's not about like actually doing it and like being more efficient and whatnot, or saving money or whatever it may be. It's doing it just for the sake of like being able to talk about it online and getting these engagements. And unfortunately, I think that's true in many different cases. I don't know how you see it, but
I think it's part of it. I think it's also sort of a fun challenge that people are enjoying right now. Again, if you are a marketer that does enjoy a little more of that, like, engineering technical side of marketing, it's almost like, "Oh, look, like, I've been limited before by resourcing, or I've been limited before by the number of headcount. Let me see how much I can hack this together." I think, again, the issue more is, like, if you're just trying to hack it together to show you can versus, "Oh, I have a strategy that I'm trying to replace, or I know what good looks like." Like, yes, maybe you can replace your whole marketing team, but if they're just pumping out bad content, does that really matter? So I think it kinda comes down to intention, like, if you are just trying to post about it or show you can do it versus if you're really like, "No, I have a system that's backlogged right now. I know what good looks like. I know I have examples, and I know, like, I can write the right prompt to make sure it's coming out with high quality material still, and I'm gonna have a human check it," versus just like, "Let me just pump out as much content as possible."
I agree. By the way, last question on that, and then we can like switch gears a bit. Do you think that there is a place for marketers who want to stay more traditional in the way they approach their work, or should we all become like GTM engineers and change our LinkedIn titles?
No, I think actually, like, to my point about brand, I think there's a huge need right now for marketers who are just, like, naturally super creative, really good at events, in-person stuff. Yes, I don't think it hurts to get some AI knowledge, but in a weird way, if all the companies start sounding the same and can do the same exact feature functionality, I do think brand is gonna be a differentiator. So if you are someone who can come up with a really creative video that stands out, I think that's actually a really good differentiator right now. Like, if you're a very creative person, I would try to lean more into the creative, maybe learn a little bit of AI, but I don't think we're all gonna become good market engineers. Because think about it, oh, if there's a world where all of our marketing is just the technical side, that's gonna be very boring marketing. And it's just gonna look all the same.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. That's a good point. And it's also, going back to, I guess, this discussion about like AI versus humans and whatnot. It's also uh, the main thing that differentiates us and like sets us apart, right, from these systems, like the ability to think originally, or to be more creative and whatnot. So enough with that. I want to discuss a trend. I hope that it's not AI that you see, and like your notes and observations regarding that trend.
Just with marketing in general.
Yes, go to market. It could be anything really.
Ooh, I'm really trying to think of something that's not AI related at all. I think sort of to the point of, like, the brand and the person element to it, I do think that, like, I don't know if it's, like, micro-influencing, or I don't know if it's getting your customers more involved, but people just really wanna buy from other people. Like, people really don't wanna have to go through all the hoops anymore, and I'm definitely noticing the trend way more than ever of people like reaching out to strangers on LinkedIn and be like, hey, I value the software. People posting. We just had one of our customers posted out of the blue, didn't even know they would do this today, being like, here's the 100 tools we experimented with this year. What else should we miss? Like, I think just a lot more transparency from customers about what they like and don't like about your product. It's a little less reliant on like the old review systems and a little more just going directly to the customer. I think we see that with like products like Noble, where you can actually see directly, like, okay, who are some other customers I might know? And I've even had conversations where it's like, one day, will you just pay your customers to sell for you? Or like, will you bring customers in even early in the buying experience and have them, show their instance and talk about it? I think that's a really interesting thing we're seeing, which like just, yeah, the transparency of which customers are coming in earlier.
When customers talk about you, for example, if someone posts something on LinkedIn, will you like ask, if it'd be okay to boost that post with thought leader ads, or do you ever
Gen-
do that?
Generally not. It depends. If I know the customer's doing it or it's like a case study we did together, I more try to use that as an opportunity to like, I don't know, get a good brand relationship. Like, I think that is such a key moment if someone posts about you organically, where you can really build in a lot of brand trust. Like, if I ever see someone post about us, I comment, I like, and then I message them directly. And I'm like, thank you so much for the post. That just made my day. That's wonderful. Like, by the way, I'm the head of marketing. If I can ever help you or if you ever want to chat marketing, happy to do so. So I don't know. While, like, yes, I'm sure I would get a lot of value after boosting their brand, and I could probably do that and have some customers I could ask. I see that as a real moment of like, we just got a fan. I wanna make sure I'm celebrating that fan and, like, really rewarding them for taking the time to post about us versus making it more transactional.
Uh, uh, on the topic of trends, you will allow me to promote Navatic a bit by asking, are demo centers, a thing of for the now, or, not really? What are your thoughts?
They're 100% a trend right now, and I don't see that going away. Maybe the formatting of the demo center changes, but again, to sneak peek my experiment a little bit, what I'm gonna talk about is creating demos for different personas or industry lines. So what I came back to at the beginning of this conversation of, like, all products need to do more than ever. And we're seeing more and more customers wanting to build demos that show off all the different use cases, product line, features, personas they can sell to. Demo centers is one way to accomplish that. And for some context, the demo center is one landing page where you might have like 10 to, we've now seen up to 80. We had a customer last week do 80 demos at a demo center.
Like a hub, really.
Yeah, exactly. We had some, people internally call it demo universe almost because with so many demos, but with the option to then filter by, again, like persona, segment, use case. So the idea is no one person is going through 80 demos. It's you go to the filters, you find the exact demo for your use case, persona, industry, and you get something pretty personalized. So I think that type of personalization with demos is just gonna keep increasing.
But that then, I mean, I can see multiple use cases, but I'd like to hear from you. Like, is that used by sales, by, you know, customer support, after someone like starts using the product and paying for it? What do you see the main use case for, especially for the example you gave, like 80 demos? I mean, that's, I can see people using those demos when after they become customers to see how they can do different jobs with the product, right?
Yeah, I think so all the above. I mean, the demo centers I'm referencing do live on the website. So these are publicly available. And a lot of customers who we've seen build demo centers, when they talk about results, they talk about pipeline gen. So I think the idea is like we need to bring in higher quality leads who understand our product better. What if we let them explore every facet of our product from the website? And that's why usually the results we hear are way more on pipeline because it's like this is bringing in quality leads than just like, oh, it improved my conversion rates. That being said, we also see then sales reps will use that demo center either pre or post call to show off some more functionality, or CSMs may use it to say like, hey, interested in this upsell feature, here's a demo that shows off that feature use case.
Okay, that makes sense. So we teased it a bit. So let's move on to the last part, which is the growth experiment, and let's see what you got for us.
Yeah, I just posted about this morning, so it's really top of mind for me. But we just ran a few different A/B tests for the past month on our actual homepage demo for Novatic. And we were trying to definitively prove this idea of like, do segmented demos, again, by something like persona, product line, use case, perform better than just an overview demo? So what that looked like in practice, we actually ran two different A/B tests because we wanted to try some different formatting. We tried one A/B test that was two different types of segmented demos. We just showed off how you pick your persona. So at the very beginning of the demo, you saw, what is your role? We want to tailor this demo to your experience. We tried one format that was like list view, one that was buttons. Turns out it didn't really matter. Those both perform pretty similarly at about a 25% click-through rate. We then tried another A/B test to test two different sort of more like generic overview demos. One that was a little shorter, one that was a longer and included like a checklist where you could see more feature functionality, but it didn't ask you up front what your persona was. And for both of those, we saw like a 15 and 18% click-through rate, but significantly lower than the persona-based one. So sort of our conclusion was, yes, if you can upfront ask someone what is their use case persona, that will perform better than just sort of an overview where someone has to maybe figure out like, oh, this works for me, does it? And my conclusion is also just like, even just seeing the options of the main personas we serve up front just validates in your mind, like, oh yeah, this product is for me, versus having to like search through it in a more overview demo, seeing like, oh, does this use case resonate? Do I understand what they're saying here?
What's a good way to do that though? I mean, is it? I'm assuming you don't have it like behind a form or anything like that. Is it a simple logic? Like when you how do you do that?
Exactly. It's sort of like automatic branching. And this is a feature just like native within Novatic, where up front you'll see three different options and then you just choose the option and then it'll automatically route you into that demo. So the visitor doesn't have to like fill out any form. They just select one of three options of like, I am a marketer, I am a salesperson, we have like a product growth role. And then depending on what you select, it automatically like jumps you into a demo for that persona.
Okay, and you say that people who use a tool like Novatic can do that without using any other tools, can do that on their website.
Exactly. And we actually just launched A/B testing native in Novatic too. So you can also natively in Novatic A/B test for yourself, like an overview demo versus a persona specific demo.
Okay, so then people can get more insights about the performance of these demos. That's interesting. So you can tie it to, you know, dollars and like ROI, which makes the product even more like valuable. That's interesting. I think that's the right direction, I guess, to take.
I think what we're also trying to answer too is with all these, again, like consolidation plays and every tool being able to do so much now, what this also answers for you a little bit is like, what are your highest converting features? Like, if you now have an option up front where you say, select your persona, you can take that data a level deeper and maybe use that for qualification to say, okay, look, I know them, even though we have 5 different use cases, I still know marketers are our best fits. So I'm going to make sure anyone who says the marketing use case gets scored higher than maybe let's say like the growth use case, which is a secondary use case for us. So it's like partly we are seeing it perform better, but it's also the exciting part of you're now getting more data on your visitor and first party data where they say themselves like, hey, I'm this role or I'm interested in this use case.
Do you offer analytics or inside the tool? Okay,
Yep.
that's interesting. Uh, okay, I don't want to run over time. So last question, and I guess call to action. Where can people go to, find out more about you or connect, say hi?
Yeah, I always make this joke, but I'm on LinkedIn way too much. So please feel free to reach out. I always love connecting there if you want to talk about demos or some of the experiments we've run, or just like I've a two-time solo marketer, just what it's like working at marketing at a startup. Happy to chat.
Okay, we will drop all these things in the show notes. Natalie, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.